Some of you might remember this toaster, which I repaired in a previous video, and it's failed again. Now, I have been using this toaster, which also I repaired, and it's failed as well. It's probably the wire. It won't latch down. And if you want to know what that's about, check out one of my previous videos. In any case, I thought I'll just start using this toaster, and it worked for a little while, and then there was a massive flash and it stopped working. Now that should have been a clue, but I went ahead and took the circuit board out. You might remember this circuit board from a previous video, and I then went and replaced the resistor because it had gone again. This was the original resistor, which of course I said in the video that I was going to get a proper replacement for, and I never did, of course. And so I went and replaced it, and there was another small flash, and I blew this little resistor again. So that was this one I was using in place of that, and this one also has now blown. Now what's going on? Well, and I think this is probably what the original fault was. If I check the element, so what I've got is my multimeter connected to the end of the element here where it starts. This is where the neutral comes in here. And then I'm going to probe from the start of the element to some point on the element using my meter and check the resistance. So, I've taken that off. If I just probe into, like, for example, on this side, I get a reading. Now, that's what I would expect. Because what I noticed is when I switch it on now, there is no heating up of the elements. If you remember from the previous video, the problem was that it wouldn't latch and stay, yet the elements used to come on. But now, if I just put that down after I've replaced the resistor, there's a flash. This resistor blows and the toaster stops working, and the fuse is okay. I noticed, look, there's actually maybe it's got a 13 amp fuse in it. I'm not sure that should be correct, but that's the plug it came with, and it even says on it 13 amps. Anyway, so there's definitely another problem. If I probe along here, oh yes, and if I probe to the end of the element, I would expect a reading, and there's nothing. So I'm continuing to probe down, no worries. I get a reading there, or I would if I could put the meter, the probe onto the meter. But as soon as I get near the end, things start to go dodgy, and now I can see, and I can see it. The reason is that the wire is touching the connector, but it has come off here. So where the element is connecting here, it's resting on it, so it does sometimes give a reading and it sometimes works, but most of the time it doesn't. And there is the origin of the big flash when that connects. There I am, wiggling the wire up and down. You can see it's not attached. There isn't a problem with shorting, that's fine. If I touch it to the earth, no worries. There's no short, or at least just with a check with the meter. So, I think what I need to do is re-spot weld the element, difficult to see in there, re-spot weld the element back onto this connector. So that's what I'm going to do and see if that now fixes the toaster. Then I'll need to replace that element, that resistor again. It's not easy. There's not much room in there. I think I'm going to try taking this off and see if that helps. So now I've managed to loosen it up. I'm not going to take the whole thing apart. That's just going to be too difficult. See, now you can see the wire that I need to reconnect. And I think what I'm going to try and do is just solder it in place like that. And then maybe try and spot weld it. First I'm going to give it a clean up. And you can see the blackening that has happened from that contact. So I'm just going to clean this up to start with. Look at that. All this arcing that's been occurring here. And that, I think, has been the source of all the problems. Well, it's safe to say that didn't work. I just ended up making a big mess of flux in there. Yeah, that's not going to work. I'm going to have to just try and spot weld it straight. If not, I'm going to have to take the whole element and remove these wires and cut this so I can get the element out, which I don't really want to do, but I might need to do that. Okay. I can't get in there with the spot welder, but I've managed. If I had this disconnected, then I would be able to get in there. So I think I'm going to try and cut that off. It's on. Okay, I'm just going to clean out some of these crumbs, put it together, and then spot weld that back on. That looks pretty good. Ah, it's come off. I think I've got it too strong actually. Adjusting it to 1 second and just 1. Yeah, I think that was too strong. Put it on 2. Huh. Solid. Finicky. I wouldn't like to work in a factory making these. So let's check the electrical safety of the thing by checking for any shorts. So I've got the negative lead on the earth of the plug. So I'm just going to check. Nothing. But if I touch the case, yes, it's connected. Okay, if I touch the element, open circuit, but if I touch the case, I get a reading, which is what you want. Just try it with the switch down. Let's try the case. Yeah. Okay. I think I'll put the case back together. I've already put the circuit board back together and yet another resistor in this location. But every time that resistor now acts like a little fuse. So now to put this cover on, I'll put this cover back on. So now I'm going to try it. No, I'm going to put the case on. No, I'm going to try it now because if I need to put it all back together. So I've got it plugged in but it's not switched on. So what I want to do is just put it down there, see if it's going to flash or do anything bad. So let's try it. I've got my gloves on. You've got to be really careful doing this. Yeah, it's working. Yep. And the elements have come on. Yep, the elements have come on. Right, I'm going to stop it. Turn it off. Yeah. Okay. So there we have it. Another fix to the Kenwood toaster TTP 102 series. Let's see. Let's just check that it works again. Plug in. Turn on. Yes. Working.